everyone. I am Assistant Professor Urmi Shah from IT/ICT Department of LG Institute of Engineering and Technology. In this session, we are going to start with a newer module, that is radio transmitters and receivers. This is our unit number 5. Up till now, we have completed 4 units which were dealing with introduction to communication, what is amplitude modulation, what is noise, what is angle modulation, and its types. So we have discussed up till now 4 modules. Now let's start, or let's move ahead with the 5th unit, that is radio transmitters and receivers. So let's start with this unit. Basically, in this session, we are going to cover introduction to radio communication mechanism, radio transmitter, radio receiver, and uses of radio waves. Following are the topics that we are going to cover in this session. So let's start, or let's understand what is radio communication, like why we are using it in our practical day-to-day life. So first understand what is radio communication. Basically, radio communication is used whenever we are having transmission of wave via antenna or we are transmitting it in free space. That is, radio is a radiation of electromagnetic signals through atmosphere or the space. Basically, the transmission and reception of electromagnetic waves of radio frequencies, especially those which are carrying the sound messages. So these sound messages, or whatever I am delivering right now, is transmitting to you in form of radio waves through a medium that is called free space. So this is all about radio communication. Now, where we are applying it, how the radio mechanism works. So let's understand this. Basically, our speech signal, or whatever I am speaking right now, is a signal that will be passed on to a transducer circuit. Transducer circuit will convert it in form of electronic signal. Basically, what is the role of transducer? Transducer converts any form of energy or any form of signal into electrical signal. So basically, it will convert the speech signal or audio signal in form of electronic or electrical signal. Further, this signal will be processed by the electronic processors. Electronic processors will convert the signal in form of its electrical parameters like current and voltage. What are I and V parameters? These are the current and voltage parameters of signal. Further, it will be processed to the transmitter module. Transmitter module is going to transmit the signal via some medium that is known as transmission. So finally our signal will be transmitted, and that transmitted electromagnetic wave will be further processed via some media into the receiver section. At receiver section, we will achieve our signal which was transmitted, and then we need to make it convert again back from electronic signal to the original audio signal, which can be heard by our ears. Whatever we are speaking via our speech organ must be heard by our hearable organ, that is ears. So it will be converted from electronic signal to back again and in the original signal, that is our speech signal or audio signal, which is hearable by the human being. So this way the whole radio communication process occurs, which is again a basic conversion process which we have studied it in our communication system. So this is again the example of communication system. How communication is done in form of radio waves. So now let's move ahead with the classification of radio waves. How radio waves are classified? What are the different categorization done based on the frequency ranges? So firstly we can say the frequency range for very low frequency is from 10 kHz to 30 kHz. Secondly, the low frequency range is from 30 to 300 kHz. Thirdly, the medium frequency range is from 300 to 3000 kHz. Then the high frequency class is belonging to 3 to 30 MHz. Then fifth one is the very high frequency which is falling under the category of 30 to 300 MHz. Then we have the sixth one, that is the ultra high frequency which is falling in the category 300 to 3000 MHz. And at the end we have super high frequency which is ranging from 3000 to 30,000 MHz. So this is how the classification of radio waves done based on the frequency ranges which can be forwarded from transmitter end to receiver end. So these are the frequency ranges for various class of frequencies. So now let's understand what is the role of transducer. Why in our radio communication system we use transducer module. Basically, transducer is a device that converts one form of energy into another form. Basically, it is used whenever we want to convert one form of energy signal to electrical signal. So it is used as a conversion device. It will basically convert one form of energy signal to another form. That is the role of transducer. This is the pictorial diagram of transducer circuitry. What are the basic blocks involved in transducer circuitry? We can see over here. Now next is the block diagram of radio transmitter. Starting from the power supply circuitry, you can see firstly we require some supply to switch on our transmitter section. Further, the signal will be processed to the oscillator section. Then oscillator is going to generate the signal which is continuously oscillating or varying in terms of frequency. That will be further processed by the modulator section. Modulator section is going to perform modulation of audio or video information with respect to the carrier frequency signal which is generated by the oscillator, and further after combining the message signal and carrier signal, the modulator is going to pass the modulated signal to the amplifier section. Amplifier section is going to amplify the signal and broadcast it to the transmitting antenna which is shown over here. So this antenna is going to transmit the given radio waves in form of the amplified signal. So this way the radio transmitter block works. Similar to transmitter block, we also have the receiver block. In radio receiver, as you can see, again we will have some receiving antenna which will recept or which will produce the signal which was transmitted by the transmitter section. Further, the signal will be processed to the RF amplifier. Basically, the RF amplifier is going to process the RF signal and then it is going to pass it on to the tuner circuit. Basically, tuner circuit is going to have proper tuning of signal and it is going to process the tuned circuit. Instead of tuner, we will have LC circuit which are the basic blocks for tuning that is inductor and capacitor. Further from the tuner part, it will be processed to the detector section. Basically, we had modulator section in the radio transmitter system. Over here we have the detector section. The detector is going to perform demodulation of the modulated signal, and further it will be passed on to audio amplifier for necessary audio amplification, and at the end in form of speaker it is going to generate the signal which was originally transmitted. So speaker is our receiver element which is going to reproduce the original signal. So this is how the radio receiver block works. This is the basic block diagram of radio receiver. Now we have discussed introduction to radio communication, what are the blocks involved in radio communication, what is transmitter and receiver section for radio communication, but where these radio waves are used. So let's first understand what are the uses of radio waves. Radio waves are basically used in wireless technology. They are used in mobile telephone communication, and they are used in television section. They are used in radar, radio waves in space, in Wi-Fi technology and many other applications where these radio waves are being propagated and utilized for development or the generation of specific signal. So this is how the radio waves are important in our day-to-day life, and they are used by many applications to run over to make our life simpler. So these are the applications or uses of radio waves. These are the references for the topics which we have covered in today's session. I hope you can refer any book out of this, but the third book, which is by V.P. Lathi, is one of the finest books whenever we are referring to radio communication. So you can refer it. And in the upcoming session, we will be discussing in depth about what are the radio communication blocks, which are the receiver sections involved in radio communication, different kind of receiver circuits that we will be seeing in the upcoming session. Thank you so much for watching this session. In the upcoming session, we will continue with this unit number 5, that is Introduction to Radio Communication. Thank you. So we are learning Introduction to Radio Communication, what is radio transmitter, what is radio receiver. Have you all understand the following applications? Like these applications are known to us, we are using in our day-to-day life, that is television, radar, radio waves, Wi-Fi, mobile phones, telecommunication, then wireless technologies. All these things are revolving around us, right? We are using it in our day-to-day life. But have you imagined that what are the kind of waves or what are the kind of signals involved in communication process of such application? So yes, here comes the use of radio waves. Radio itself means it is traveling in air. It is traveling in free space. There is no boundary for such communication. So all these applications involve or evolve the use of radio waves. So here comes the most important application, and further more research is going on for more applications in the field of radio communication, antenna communication, wave propagation, electromagnetic spectrum theory. Right now we are developing 5G technology, 6G, 7G we are working upon in US, in UK and in India as well. Research is going on for further advancement in the speed of wireless connectivity. Right now, Jio is also investing a lot of money or market in this technologies, and we will be having a more digitization whenever we are going in the technology era improvement. As we will be moving towards digitization, there will be the usage of radio waves. So these are the application of radio communication which will be used in our future life. Okay.